What's up, YouTube? I'm Liora Sophie, and I make videos about writing, and I write about making videos. Okay, no, I don't. But today, I would like to talk about one of the elements of writing romance that I think is so important and not talked about enough, and that is consent. Yes, that's right. We can sort of think that consent is not very romantic and not sexy, and I just would like to claim that is not true. Consent is absolutely romantic and absolutely sexy and can be expressed as so in our romance writing as well. And not only that it can, but that it should and is important. I think this is an element of romance writing that I do not see enough, and I'm always really excited when I do. So without further ado, let me break down how you can write consent without ruining the moment. You can have one character explicitly ask for consent from another character. Do you want me to kiss you? Can I kiss you? You can just go right out and ask. You can do it in a really cute way. It can be really romantic and sweet. They can, it's because it's really all about how they feel when they ask the question, how the other character feels hearing the question. Those emotions, those reactions, those are the elements of the romantic scene that really make it kind of bubbly and sweet and cute. And that's what you want to emphasize. And so you can just throw it in there, and you don't have to worry about breaking the flow. Consent does not always have to be obtained through an explicit question. When two people who are in a romantic relationship or in some kind of a romantic courtship, they can communicate with each other in ways that are not necessarily verbal. So a look or a nod, any kind of a gesture can be enough to either give or receive consent from between characters. We all know the guy reaching out and tucking her hair. He tucked her hair behind her ear, right? That's a very standard kind of romance novel gesture, but it's so often done without consent. It's just the guy just reaches out and tucks her hair behind her ear. He doesn't ask her if that's something she's interested in being touched. And honestly, that bothers me a lot. It bugs me. It's her body. Why is he touching it without permission? Often it's just presented as if he can read her mind, or he just decides that's something she wants. And I don't think that's cool. You don't necessarily have to say, can I please tuck your hair behind your ear? It doesn't have to be like that necessarily. You can have him sort of go, reach out, and then stop and see if she's looking at his hand like, mister, what are you doing with that? Or if she's like, ooh, is he gonna tuck my hair behind my ear? Because that'd be interesting. So the expression on her face, her body language, the way that either she is going to be relaxed or tense, or maybe her breathing, blushing, those, and leaning, she could lean into it. Those are things that can express enthusiasm, consent, without necessarily asking a question and receiving an explicit yes. Side note, I'm saying he and she, but obviously she, he, they, them, all genders. I'm going to actually address that in a later point. It's important to acknowledge that these things don't stand on their own. The getting it without the explicit is a little bit more gray, so you have to be more careful, because these things can be miscommunicated, they can be misunderstood, misinterpreted, right? But really what I want to see is just the acknowledgement. I want to see the character who is asking for it. I want to see them go through that process of, I remembered that this is an important thing to do and I asked for consent. Or, I looked at her and I asked with my eyebrows and she gave me a nod and then I knew it was okay. That's what I want to see. I say consent because that's like the minimum bar I want to see, but really what's way more romantic than consent is enthusiasm. You want to be excited. You want to be into it. That's a way more romantic to read than he asked me if he could kiss me and I was like, yes. No, you want to be into it. You want to be excited by it, and you want to see that character expressing those feelings. And so, more enthusiasm than consent. There is such a thing as implied consent. That is not necessarily relevant in a lot of stories in the beginning of their development, because this is something that exists only inside the context of an established relationship. When you have characters who have been together for a long time and already have this kind of relationship and some kind of agreement between them. If they have been sharing a bed for for an extended period of time, it's okay for the other character to sort of, reach over and wake them up. That's fine, even though they're asleep. That is something that is often acceptable in a relationship between two characters, but it only can happen once the relationship is established and once both people know each other well enough to understand, to agree that is something that is okay between them. It's not enough to just get consent once. You have to get consent at every step of the way as the romance develops and becomes more intense, more heated. Just because you got consent for hand-holding does not mean you have consent for a kiss, and you have to get it again at every stage as it gets hotter. And again, it doesn't have to be explicit at every stage, but maybe try to mix techniques. Maybe at some point it's going to be explicit and at some point it's going to be more of a gesture. Have them just communicate. Communication. That is what it's all about, and I promise you it can be cute and fluffy, and even more so for having this element so present in it. All genders should be expected to require consent and to receive consent. If it is a straight couple and there's a boy and a girl, or a man and a woman, it's not just the man who has to ask consent from the woman. The woman should also absolutely 100% be asking consent from the man. You can't just go around the world assuming that one type of person is just always down for anything, where the other one is like, oh no, my body, my rules. Though everybody should be respected at that level. Lastly, it's all about communication, right? So sometimes a character can ask for consent, but then the answer, if they didn't explicitly say, can I kiss you, and the other character didn't necessarily say yes, you might have a moment where it's a little bit unclear, and that is okay. So just go back and check. Just ask. Have them make a gesture that is a little bit more clear, or go for the explicit. Hey, is this cool? Hey, is this okay? Hey, do you want this? Hey, I would really like to blah blah blah. It's also crucial to remember that consent can be withdrawn at any point, and I promise you, one of the most romantic things a character can do is respect the withdrawal of consent. Super sad. Let's change this. But for now, absolutely, 100%. And that can be a beautiful step in the development of trust in between two characters. What happens? What'll happen if I say no? Whoa, that person that I was interested in was super receptive and super respectful. Super, super, super cute. Also, everything I said here does not just apply for romance writing. Obviously, it applies in real life, so super 2 for 1. So if you have encountered an example in romance writing, a really good example of consent that's like sweet and cute and really great, please do share in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe and like, and I will see you around. Bye!